Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ida Farhat, and welcome to Conscious Heart Solutions. I have Miss Emma Broomhall back again, the one and only super amazing woman. I'm super excited. Today we are finally getting to our recording, and I appreciate everybody's patience. I'm going through, some of us may be aware we're all kind of being bombarded. I'll speak for myself with these energies that are coming in, and just a lot of emotional stuff coming up for me, and I'm not going to get too deep on that, but thank you for your patience and waiting for us to do this, because today the topic, as part of our shadow work series, the topic is inner child work. So, and Emma's going to share information with us today. I'll open up with just a few things that I got off the internet, and anybody can do this research, of course, but I definitely invite you to reach out to Emma again if you want to work with her, or at least, you know, come join us in these shows and listen, because I know that the information that Emma shares is valuable, and she's helped me tremendously just in the past couple months of some of my own inner work that I'm really wanting to get to the bottom of. But anyways, so I'm going to share a little bit of information, and I'm going to turn the show over to Emma for the first 45 minutes, 50 minutes. She'll be sharing content that she has to share with everyone. And then the second part of the show, we'll take maybe a 5-minute, come back and open it up to more of an open dialogue where we can, maybe I'll ask some questions on some of the information that you share so we can have you elaborate more. Okay, very good. So what is inner child work? Inner child work, also referred to inner child healing, is a way to address our needs that haven't been met as children and heal the attachment wounds we've developed. We all have a younger part of ourselves that was never quite loved the right way or the way that they needed as a child. This is by Trish Phillips. You can look her up on the internet if you'd like to dive deeper into her information. As children, we also are very impressionable, rapidly absorbing what our environments and caretakers teach us and how they treat us. Inner child wounds or attachment wounds can occur when there is either a traumatic event or chronic rupture without repair. For children, a rupture without repair can look like crying out for help by being unheard by an emotionally unavailable caretaker. Ruptures also happen in our daily lives throughout adulthood, from when someone forgets to hold the door open for us at the store, or when a friend doesn't say hi to us. How we internalize them determines if the experience stays as a wound or it becomes a process right there. So, and then there's, let me see if there's healing your inner child. Have you ever paid attention to the little voice inside you, the one that might remind you of your younger self? No matter how old we grow, we carry our younger selves within us day to day. Perhaps our hurt 5-year-old self shows up when our best friend doesn't answer a phone call, or our misunderstood 15-year-old self comes out when a colleague doesn't see eye to eye. Caring for this younger version of ourselves is what inner child work is all about. And I'm going to leave it there. So that's just to give people some kind of understanding of what we're about to dive into. And so I'm going to open the show up to you, Emma. Please share the content you want to share, whatever it is that your heart, Thank you for coming.
You are welcome. It is always such a pleasure to be here. It is always such a pleasure to share this work and share this information, because it really does need to get out there right now. And so, yeah, I am always so pleased to come and spend time with you and do this with you, because it's awesome. So we'll dive right into it. There's two kind of pieces to this. There's understanding the primal imprint of everything that our consciousness absorbs from the moment of creation, from the moment the sperm hits the egg and then creates that consciousness and draws that consciousness in, you know, our awareness is there. Everything affects us from the moment of conception all the way through the womb time and the first year out of the womb. So can you go and get daddy, please? Can you? Yeah, no, not right. Can you go and get daddy, please? Good girl. And so our awareness is absolutely soaking up and absorbing all information from the moment of creation. And science is actually just now sort of kind of backing this up now. So I'm just going to go through some notes, because like I say, there's two pieces to this, and there's also all of that imprint that we get that affects us, and also it's not just when we are born, it's what we make of ourselves, it's how we feel about ourselves. So there's two pieces. And then when we're born, there's all the information and all the stimuli that comes afterwards, which is obviously then more into the inner child work. So there's two kind of aspects here. So I just want to touch on both of them. So right, okay, so our entrance into this world and our first few months of life set the stage for all that follows. This crucial juncture is called your primary imprint. Now, again, like you say, you can go and look up this research through Carl, through Jung. All of these people have got, you know, information like this. It's just that shadow work brings all of the psychology together and puts it together with the energetic healing, so we can then dive in and actually heal ourselves, not just mentally understand things, but really express all those needs that weren't met, and then meet all those needs that weren't met. So so even at the moment of conception, like I've just said, your infant self has consciousness and awareness. This fact, largely ignored by our current modern medical establishment, is now coming to light more and more each day by the caring midwives and doulas, parents and holistic practitioners who are awakening to the true nature of our early childhood development. And that's one of the reasons why I do this work, because one of my big whys was really to understand myself, heal myself, but also not carry on and pass down those wounds to my own children, which is where all the ancestral comes in. So, you know what I mean? There's big reasons why, to heal ourselves, we heal the generations coming after us. So they now recognize that to foster early, healthy, conscious children who can remain embodied, and we've talked about this before, because our spirit is so afraid, literally in terror, to be inside our body, that's why we get disjointed. That's what disembodiment means. That's what it means to be embodied, to bring the spirit back into the body so it feels safe and warm and you know, and nurtured. And so how we bring these children into this world, it really becomes a powerful focus. And even though I've not done my best, it was only after my children were born that I really got into this work and really started understanding it, and then beginning really to reverse engineer myself to heal myself, but also reverse engineer my own children's upbringing that I've given them, to sort of redirect them and kind of correct any mistakes that I feel that I've inputted into them, like self-consciousness or lack of self-belief and these kind of things, because I know I've passed certain things down to my children. So, but we can always turn that around. If the children are young enough, we can always turn that around. Well, in fact, it doesn't matter what age, we can always turn that around. So consciousness is present all throughout the process of maturation, is the word, really, from the moment of conception right up until the moment of birth and then onwards. So I'll read just one more little bit. To understand this ourselves, we need to take the journey back into our earliest moments and experience the truth of what actually happened. Shadow work supports you as you authentically and effectively bring our own self-love to what was often feelings of abandonment, neglect, abuse, and an abuse that shaped our primary imprint. And most of us have dealt with and experienced things like this, whether it be in a minor way or a really, really big way. And so as we come out of the self-deceit, and we've been talking about this, the actual self-denial, and as we come out of this self-deceit, we can finally face the truth, and we can finally realize and release ourselves from this shadow pain that we have spent our lifetimes trying to fix, or hiding away from ourselves, because there are aspects about ourselves, as you know, that we loathe, we don't like, we don't want to admit, we don't want to own, and they're all there, you know, and we have to love and accept and acknowledge all of them. So by making significant strides to reverse all this damage and all the behaviors, we go in and we face this truth once and for all. So at the moment of conception, as we grew in our mother's womb, and like I say, the first year and first few years outside, that has all added to our primary imprint. So everything from then on is a mirror, and everything is stored in the subconscious, which is in the back, you know, the back of the head. So I've got quite a few more notes on that, but like I say, we can go through questions as
Emma,
we go.
Please don't feel rushed at all. You share whatever you feel.
Okay.
So don't feel rushed, because this is
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you are more than welcome to share whatever.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll go deeper into this then. Okay. So all throughout our first days, weeks and months of our lives up to the first year, we are completely helpless, defenseless, completely unarmored. We are absolutely a sponge for soaking all of that information, all of that energy in. Mm-hmm. So and this is and like I say, this is all done at the subconscious level. So we're not even really conscious at this point. It's all going in the subconscious. It's all getting sort of like just literally imprinted in. It's like the underground software in a computer, you know what I mean? It's all the subroutines, not your Microsoft Office at the front, but all the stuff that runs in the back. It's all this that's getting imprinted right now. So it all goes in at a subconscious level, basic psychology. So questions like, do you know how your birth went? I actually know how mine went, because my mum was in slow labor for a week. All the waters had drained, so I was a dry birth. I was a very traumatic birth for her and for me. And this is a major big thing in anybody's life. If anybody's had a kind of traumatic birth, my first, she came out as a C-section. Believe you me, that's traumatic, you know, for me and for her. And so did you know if your parents wanted you? I know my parents wanted a boy. So there you go. So even that's like sort of buried in there somewhere, and you know what I mean. It's like, oh, you didn't really want me then, you know. It's all in there.
Yeah,
so,
that makes that's it. I never thought of that. Did my parents want me? I don't know. I mean, my mother had me for sure. I think my mother felt obligated to. You know, she had 12 kids. I'm the youngest of 12.
So, you know, so yes, all these questions.
But she fought for every one of her children. So I'm assuming, I mean, I don't know. I know. Go ahead, please keep going, because this stuff's fascinating to me. I've done some of my own research, but not to the level you have. So please.
Okay, so here we go. So did your parents love and support each other through the process of pregnancy, childbirth, child raising? You know, all these factors come up. So were they able to hold you, feel for you, connect with your consciousness? I know mine didn't. You know, could they respond appropriately to your wants and your needs? And for most of us, like I say, the answer to many of these questions is sadly no. You know, our mothers and fathers' ability to be there for us was determined by their own emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual health during their maturation, during their, you know, growing up years. So you can see how these things get passed down. And even though you might, you know, we might say, oh, yes, I had a loving parents and I had a great childhood. Really, really, when you look into what a child and our inner babies need at that time, it's a lot more than what society was pumping out how to raise children. And they've been doing that for hundreds of years. Yeah, so if, you know, pumping out how to raise children, what to do for hundreds of years. You know, we've lost the ability to obviously just carry our children around with us everywhere we go, like they do in the Amazon jungle. They don't have prams and pushchairs and all that kind of thing. They carry their babies everywhere they go, because that's the only way they're going to carry them around. And if they don't carry them, somebody else does. I think in Bali, a child doesn't, a newborn baby in Bali doesn't touch the floor for the first 6 months, or I believe it's something like 210 days.
Wow.
It's somewhere like that. It's like for a
Okay, why is that? Say that again. Why would that be?
Because babies are absolutely inextricably linked to their mother's aura and energy.
Yes.
And
yes.
the babies only ground, they are only able to ground through us, which is why we are supposed to carry them everywhere. When we leave them and put them down, what do you think happens? That child feels, that child has got no mind, no consciousness. And when you put it down, it's like, okay, I'm being left, I'm alone, nobody's touching me, I'm getting no comfort, there's no skin contact. And this baby starts going into absolute panic, terror. It's afraid for its life. It thinks it's been abandoned. Nobody, and you think about this, and that's, you think about how many of us were left alone in our own room, in a cot, as the moment we came home from hospital. The moment we came home with our parents. How many
left at the house at the hospital for 3 days? You're making me think of all kinds of, like, I'm sure that there was a reason why I was left at the hospital for 3 days. More than
but like I say, you think about how many mums, they'll leave the baby, it's fine, they'll just cry it out. By that time, they're in so much like despair and anxiety, and then all of a sudden, when that baby stops crying, it's given up. It's not calmed down. It's not soothed itself. It's given up.
Oh, I've never thought of it that way. That's horrible.
And it was all happened to us. It happened to me. Yeah, that baby alone in its cot, giving up because nobody's coming for it. Nobody's coming for it. And this has happened to near enough every single baby on this planet, because that's how we were told to raise children.
Yeah.
By who exactly? Yeah. By who? Yeah. And this is, and like I say, this is just one thing. This is just one thing, and just leaving us there in our cots to cry it out. But, and like I say, when that baby shuts up, when that baby actually goes to sleep and calms down, it isn't calm. It's given up. It's in anxiety. It's given up. It's in fear of its life. And that's when, as soon as that happens, the spirit disassociates from the body. Doesn't want to be in there.
Never thought of it that way. That is so.
It's horrific
right now.
It's horrific. Yeah. And we have the. I mean,
but
it's not. We have the power to heal it. Yeah. We have the power to heal it.
Emma, so that's interesting that you're saying that, because I was watching somebody I had shared with you before we went live or start recording, and I won't mention his name because I just don't want to, but on one of his shows he mentioned how some of these off-world beings, and I know this is kind of taking it out of our focus today, but if we consider that we're multidimensional and that we come from different star families, so to speak, they do raise their offspring different than what we do here on this, in this realm of experience. I don't want to say this, but I believe we're on a mothership. I definitely believe that everything is within us. So that's a whole nother.
But yes, but this is it.
My point in saying this to you, and then I'll be quiet, is, so do you think that might have something to do with how, even if a person isn't aware of their soul origin, so to speak, because of these characteristics, how they're passed down, like what you're saying, but even on a bigger level of that, the way different species, so to speak, or galactic beings or star beings or star nations or star families, how they raise their offspring is different. So you have different, even just like here in our culture, where the Africans raise their children differently than the Spanish or the Arab. But if you notice, a lot of the indigenous, like the ones that are still holding those teachings or those cultural ways of being, are still very much connected to, like what you were saying, in Bali. And so it can be turned around for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But that's it. It's like, and every any pain that we have suffered, any pain or trauma that we have endured can be released and fixed right back down, like I say, right back to this primal imprint. And it is, like I say, the work, the great work, or the inner work, is just an ever unfolding and an ever going deeper of these things. So have I got into my own primary imprint just yet? Maybe not. Maybe I haven't got that deep yet. You know what I mean? But like I say, this is just one of the things that we need as a human race, as the human species, to think about. It's not just about bringing life into this reality. It's also about how we take life out. Because, you know what I mean, it's kind of, you know, we recycle. I feel that we recycle, you know what I mean? We come here, we're here for a mission, we're here to do something, you know what I mean? And like I say, there's all different kinds of like theories about how we come in and out. But like I say, one of the things I feel that we have to endure when we come here is to forget where we've come from. And being here, one of the big reasons to be here is to remember that, to open ourselves up to our own hearts, to each other, and really remember who we are and why we're here. And like I say, but the thing is, for eons and hundreds of years, we have been told how to have babies, how to raise children, how to be, and without actually just leaving us to figure it out ourselves. You must do this, you must do that, you've got to follow these rules, you've got to follow those rules, you've got to bring up your children like this. And even the schooling system really now is based on a Victorian model. You know, it's based on a model that was like 300 or 400 years old. It's kind of, you know, but 200 years old, 300 years old. But you know what I mean? And it's like, no wonder that, you know, people are complaining about this.
It's really not about, okay, so if we consider the children want to create, even if they put a Lego together, they're creating, right? So when we put them in a chair at a desk and say you must sit for 8 hours and do work, and nothing really creative is right stimulating their brain. They're just taking in information, and there's nothing. And sure, I mean, I was one of those kids. I left school at 6th grade. Was the last grade I completed. I was not one that could be confined in that way.
I'm not an academic either, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I love learning
and I'm
stuff.
so okay not being an academic. I mean, I'll learn what I need to learn to do what I need to do, but I would much rather operate from a creative space or a, you know, Anyway, so go ahead, please keep going. Okay. This is, you know, for the listener, this is, you know, for those, some of you may have come across this kind of information before, and then some of you may not have, and it's definitely worth.
Well, hold on to your knickers.
Yeah.
Hold on to your knickers. That's it.
Please, go ahead.
Okay, so where was I? So our mother and father's ability were determined by their emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual health during their raising. So whatever the truth of these conditions, we have determined our primary imprint for the rest of our lives. You know what I mean? Things that are set in here can set us up for life, but like I say, if they aren't set in stone, they can be reversible. So like I say, the good news is that we can now go into those different aspects of us known as the inner child, the inner infant, and bring all of those broken, fragmented soul force fractures. We can bring all of those tiny broken pieces back and heal them and literally stick them all back together, bring ourselves back to wholeness, which is the whole point of why we're here. We're here to remember, we're here to heal, we're here to come back to who we are without all the baggage, because that's who we are, without all of this society imprinting and programming and all of this kind of thing. That's who we are. Without all of that, that's who we are, our essence. And this is what I'm working to get back to. You know, whether I ever will in my lifetime, who knows? But I'm doing it. You know, I'm doing it, and I'm taking people with me. That's what I'm doing. I'm taking people with me. So I'm
so thankful to be doing this work with you. I mean, I'm just at the hairline inkling of what you've done, but I'm here.
I love you.
I'm here. I'm open. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to.
That's it. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. So our infant selves learned about who she or he was through what our parents were living through at the time. Now think about that. Even our childhood were different to our parents. Our parents' childhood was different to anybody else. And that's how we're brought up. So their psyches become the mirror from which we draw all of our conclusions about our own value. I hope that makes sense. To this day, it is likely, unless
can you repeat that, please, Emma?
I think that's important.
Yeah.
Okay, so your infant self learned about who he or she was through what your parents were living through at the time. So whatever their consciousness was at the time of your birth, that's what is going to be imprinted on you. So their psyches at the time become the mirror from which we draw all of our conclusions about our own life and our own values. So whatever they were going through at the time, they were then projecting all of that stuff on us, and whatever that was, we took that upon ourselves to make mean about ourselves, our self-belief, how we were loved, could we be loved, you know, were we nice people, were we horrible, all these different things. And that's coming from all of our parents at their consciousness at that time. So it does, like I say, it does get a bit deep. So unless we've done some inner work, that viewpoint is going to be our default setting. Whatever our parents were going through and whatever they projected onto us at the time, like I did with my girls when they were born, when I wasn't really full into this work, I projected all of my stuff onto them in their primal imprint. And now I work really hard to try and reverse all that and go through this work. And even though they're 9 and 6, you know, I talk to them on that level. I teach them how to be responsible. I teach them that emotional intelligence, that they can have these emotions, that it's okay to have these emotions, good, bad, indifferent, cry or not, it's okay, and learn to talk about them. Whereas like I was never taught how to talk about my feelings. I don't think I was even asked about my feelings. You know, so all of these things add up. So,
oh yeah, you just said it. I definitely wasn't asked about my feelings. I was shut down so much as a kid, and I was way too much. Or at least that's what I was told. Ida, you're too much. You're too much. You're too much.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So the view of our own self-worth originates through these distorted lenses. Yeah, from that primary imprint and those distorted mirrors and lenses from our parents that were projecting all of their wounds upon us, we took it upon ourselves that, you know, oh, they don't love us, or they're being horrible because we're not lovable, or I'm not a nice girl, or, you know, I must be bad, yada, yada, yada. So from that container of perception, we come to know who we are. So if our mother was sick, for example, we might have felt that it was because of us. If our father was angry, absent, or abusive, we could have felt that this was a direct reflection of what we actually deserved. Because, you know, we look at our parents as gods. You know, we just look at them like they're going to give everything to us with love, with compassion, with the utmost wisdom, with everything. And look, of course they don't. Of course they don't. But that's not their fault. You know what I mean? That's not their fault. But that's what we were imprinted with. So you can see how this obviously cascades on. So, and again, I've just said this, each child needs to believe that his or her parents are gods in a fashion, that they know what they are doing and that they're in charge of the world that we know, and everything about how to function and act comes from them. Children magically believe that their parents are coming from a space of great love and wisdom. We automatically assume this because they're our mummy and daddy, you know, and that's why we're always looking for mummy and daddy's love. Without this, vulnerable infants can give up hope and go what is called into failure to thrive, which can ultimately lead to death. And some of this can even be said in like newborn babies. If they aren't given enough love and comfort, even in those first few months of life, they can go into such panic, such anxiety that they can just die. They can just die. And that is really, really awful, you know, and like I say, you see this happening in hospitals or in orphanages, or, you know, where, you know, little children have lost their parents. They just go into this like fail to thrive, and they go into complete terror and shut down. They just completely shut down. And to be quite honest, and then if we live past that, we as adults are still shut down, and all of our little children are still shut down. So you could, from those primary imprints, that's, you know, we're kind of like, oh my God, I'm so scared, I don't know what to do, I'm so frightened, if I do anything, I'm just going to die. And that's a place that we're always coming from, fight or flight. I know people have heard of that, fight or flight.
Yeah.
So, okay. If any of these realities were yours or might have been yours, then your inner child's primitive ego most likely was fast at work keeping you alive by fighting valiantly against reality. So our ego is just like, no, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to see that. I'm going to go into dark. I'm just going to shut that down. I'm going to compartmentalize that, and I'm going to put it in a box and never going to see it again. And this is, you know, this is where suppressed memories come from. And this is why hypnosis is a good tool to really hone in and bring those bad boys back out. So your primitive, your infant primitive undeveloped ego had one task and one task only: to keep you alive. Without hope, you could have given up. Right from the get-go, we are more often than not forced into deluding ourselves about our environment and about who we are. Your child's ego back then was on high alert, doing whatever it took to keep you safe. But as you can now begin to understand, everything was turned back to front. We think we were safe, but we weren't. You know what I mean? I know our parents wouldn't have really done anything to hurt us, but they didn't really know how to love us either. You know what I mean? So it's all a bit, yeah, a bit back to front. So in review, the sensations pouring into us as infants were unfiltered, and how we interpreted them set the whole, you know, our whole brains off connecting, and the neural nets all, you know, it sets off the beliefs and behaviors that then we carry on for life. So even if as a tiny infant, if we didn't feel that we got love, we were, you know, the first thing we do would cry a lot, wave about and try and make noise and all this kind of thing. If screaming didn't get our attention, that's when we would start to use other tactics. And when we developed our ego, we'd be either nasty, or we'd be aloof, we'd be quiet, or we'd be aggressive, or we'd be shouty. And all these different behaviors are just ways to get our parents' attention and love and get our needs met. All the, you know what I mean? And this, like I say, all of it stems from just the first few months. So, okay. There we go. So your infant ego struggled to get your needs met, but if they could not be met, you most likely separated right there from reality in order to survive. Like I say, the disassociation of the spirit. Our spirit does not want to be in our body, and this is where a whole load of mental problems come from, emotional problems come from, because we can't marry the spirit into the body. And even counselors and psychologists don't have all of the answers, and I feel shadow work does, because it blends together that psychology, the psychosis, your psyche and energy together to really bring out and express everything that we've been holding in, all those traumas that we've been holding in, because the traumas that we hold in then produce the behaviors that we act out. And as soon as we can heal that hurt, the behavior stops. And I've actually noticed this with myself, because my children, you know, really, really didn't like me not so long ago. And they know I'm a lot better now. So even I know.
Emma,
I
can't even imagine, but I love your trick. No, I appreciate you. I appreciate your being, you know, open,
but even me,
about, yeah.
Even me doing all this work, yeah, even I get triggered, even my girls trigger me, and I can go volcanic, and I can just go, you know, off on one. It doesn't mean to say I beat them or anything. I don't do that. But if I go angry, I can get shouty, and all of a sudden, and what's that going to do to them? They're going to feel bad about themselves. They're going to think that's all their fault, when actually it isn't. It's my responsibility.
Right.
So again, so it's,
well, that's how we project. Well, that's interesting you say that. Now, I don't have children, but I've got tons of nieces and nephews and friends that had have kids, and, or, you know, close friends that had children or whatever. And, well, I just know from my own upbringing and being yelled at and, you know, put in the corner to hop on one foot, and, you know, never being allowed to really be a kid. It's like I was saying the other day, you know, we yell at dogs to not act like dogs. They're dogs. They act like dogs. Children, if they're being playful or loud, they're being children. Now, I'm not saying that there's not, you know, some guidance and you know,
It's that
teaching
balance
how to,
between
yeah.
guidance and navigating rather than projecting your own shit on
Well,
them.
that's right. Exactly. And a lot of parents,
I know I've done
notice,
both.
yeah,
I've done both.
I notice parents will look to their children to be their friends rather than, you know, I think there's a, when I say friends, meaning like they emotionally depend on their children, and they
yes.
use it as the guise of, oh, you know, like, you know, I love it, it's a mixed signal. It's codependent, you know, codependent behaviors that start out so young, which is so,
it's damaging.
What's the word? It stalls the child from true, mature emotional growth. Because it's constantly looking for the affirmation of the parent or the friend or the, I know this from my own self. My mother didn't do it, but I was in relationships that were that way, that were, you know, that way, codependent. And it's just not healthy at all. And I'm 52 years old. I'll be 53 in a couple weeks. And I'm just getting on top of my codependent issues. Like, and I don't even know getting on top of is the right word, but I'm just like really having a deeper look at them and wanting to heal what needs to be healed in order for me to correct it. Not fix it, but correct it.
Yeah,
I think, exactly. You know, these words that we use, even the word fix, is like something has to be instantaneous, and it's
to fix something implies that it's broken, but you're not broken. We are not broken.
I never thought of it that way. No wonder I don't like the word. Thank you very much. You just gave me a yes. So we can correct it and we can make a better choice.
Better choice. There you go. Yeah. So okay. But if they could not be met, you're most likely separated right there from reality in order to survive. So without love, touch, care, and protection, your survival was in big trouble, right? So you could not know this as an infant. It could have triggered giving up. So a lot of us did that. I know we all did that. But alas, we wonder why humanity seems so unable to live in reality. Especially right now, everybody's kind of like losing the plot. It was all etched into our operating systems from day one. From the moment we came out of our mother's womb, we have been programmed, prodded and poked, all this kind of thing, and completely programmed, mind controlled from the moment we came out. So splitting from reality becomes our default setting. It's like, no, I'm just going to go into denial. I'm just going to separate that out. I'm not going to look at it. I'm not even going to go there. And all growth is built upon this faulty foundation. It informs our beliefs and controls the feeling that we have about ourselves. So if we can take a moment to sense that that child or children, because there's more than one, believe you me, there's more than one, is still living inside of you with all of his or her sensations, rejections, pains, and delusional beliefs. This is pretty much a true picture of the shadow work, or what is at hand, how we need to start really combating this. Because
I don't mean to interrupt you, but okay, so we hear about like multiple personality and so forth, like people that have different different alters that live within them.
Because this happens to us, this is basically called, this is the word for what happens is trauma-based mind control. Now you think about where you've heard that before. Trauma-based mind control. And that's how we've been programmed since birth. Now, what's going on right now?
I didn't expect for you to say that. I totally didn't expect that. I am fully aware of trauma-based mind control, but I just didn't expect you to say that. But absolutely, yes.
This is why people are walking down these queues to these centers to go and get this rat poison. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, we're just not thinking. We're just zombies. We're just going to do as they're told. With trauma-based mind control, and they haven't been able to break out of it.
Well, most people have been. And so if we're going to talk about from the day we come out of our mother's womb, we are programmed and indoctrinated to believe that there's something outside of ourselves that is capable of making a better, and I'm not talking about children, I'm talking about, well, even children at a certain age, you start realizing, hey, wait a minute, like what I'm watching these adults do are not, something's wrong. I was one of those kids. Like, what is going on here, right? Yeah. But then you get older and you kind of start, so it becomes the norm because you watched it for so long. You think, okay, is it maybe my mind, you know, why I'm questioning it? Am I skewed because I'm questioning it? Or is it really what I'm seeing inappropriate? You know,
you see, that's where, cognitive dissonance, that's the one. I can never say the word properly, and but cognitive dissonance, where actually everything around you sort of like contradicts your beliefs, and it's like you're stuck in this kind of like limbo of fear and confusion.
But Emma, even more though, so if we're going to talk about like what you just said, and I don't want to get too far into a discussion about that, about the people walking down the line, and we won't use the words because we know that can create an issue with this broadcast. Exactly. And we don't want that. No. But anything in a suit, a coat, you know, like a robe, any like doctors, lawyers, judges,
any kind of costume,
anything that we've been taught to believe is an authority over us.
See,
and so we just go and like when the policeman stops us or the judge says this or the what, who in the heck do these? No, I do not consent at all anymore. I remember being outside. I had neighbors that were fighting, and the officer said, "Well, I'm going to have to take a report from you." And I said, "No, you don't." And I said it in a way like, "I'm not giving a report. I think I've shared enough, and I'll return to my home. Are you finished? You're not getting me caught up and entangled in that whole web of courtrooms and battles and whatever."
But the thing, it's that, you know, when the conditioning and programming goes,
most people wouldn't say no to a police officer because they'd be too scared, and they'd say, "Okay, you know, I'm ready, whatever." I'm not saying that there's not a place for that. You know, if somebody's out doing harm and attacking somebody.
We all need help at some time. So absolutely, I'm grateful for those people in doing that service. But like saying, no, they don't have authority over me.
No, they don't have authority over me either. But we are taught that. And, well, even the way the school system's set up. You walk down halls, when the bell rings, the children come out. They're taught on cue that when they hear a bell, they jump up, they run out the door, and they get to that next room before their class starts, or they're in trouble and they go to the principal. Like, it's like, hey, wait a minute. I understand structure is necessary, but does anybody see that this, and I think it was, there was one of these kids, celebrities, children, Willow, anyways, one of them was talking about how school is like prison, right? You're in it's set up like a prison. It's, But I know the good things. I'm not going to, you know what? On the flip side of that, I know that there are huge, amazing things that are prepared to start taking place on this planet in a big way, that we will transition out of that into into schools that will, or education that's much different than what it looks like now. And I can't wait when these humanitarian projects start and all that. But okay, go ahead. We can keep going for.
I know we have got so much so many topics to go into.
Yeah.
So okay, so our child mind ego is naturally narcissistic. So any child under the age of, say, about 10 is naturally narcissistic. It's always about them. It's only ever about them. You know what I mean? It's only when we sort of like grow and go through teenagers that we really start to develop more characteristics, more, you know, sort of more about ourselves. but our younger children are literally, so everything about me, everything is about me, and everything is happening because of me. My parents are unhappy because of me. My parents do not love me, so I must be unlovable. My parents are angry, miserable, and sad. I need to make them happy so that they will love me. And I mean, it's all kind of like mixed up. And so, you know, the children thinks like, you know, if it's all going wrong, it's obviously their fault. And this is just the way we were brought up.
We take this into our adulthood. I mean, I'm going through this right now. I don't consider myself a people pleaser because I will speak up but those that I like my family or people that I have seek their approval, their validation, whatever, that I way overextend myself wanting to be just have a connection.
I'm going to use a little phrase now that I've just realized that I was doing with my own parents, my own father, actually. And like I say, I love him dearly, but, you know, he's a complete narcissist, but he's not a very nice man, but, you know, I don't hate the man. But the thing is, it's like, oh, I forgot my point now. Darn it.
Your father, and you said the children
yes.
are okay.
Basically, the sentence I was using, it was like how I felt, even in my 48 years or whatever, I felt like I was whoring myself out for his love. I would do anything to get his approval, anything to get his attention, anything for him to be proud of me, anything for him to give me attention. And it was literally, I would literally whore my energy out, and that's the way it felt. And so
I've been that way with certain family members, and that is getting nipped in the bud ASAP. Been going on for a few years now. I'm done.
Yeah.
I love myself more today, and I value myself and my energy, and I don't know what the hell that was all about other than feeling, you know, because I grew up, and there was no real true connection in my family. If we want to talk, you know, if I want to be real honest, if I'm going to really be honest, which I am, because once I'm aware of it, I do. My whole family is relationships of trauma bonding. There's no true connections in my family. Everything has been around trauma bonding. I don't think my siblings realize that. We have stuck. Now, I will say that we have definitely stuck together as a family unit for the most part. Like we've done pretty good considering other families that I've observed and known growing up. Like we've always come back together for holidays, whatever, and we kind of just tolerate each other. And oh, that's just so-and-so, and that's just so-and-so, and that's the way so-and-so. No, it's called trauma bonding, and nobody's talking about what's really going on, and nobody's wanting to heal, but I am. I'm not saying nobody. I'm being facetious when I say that. The point is
it takes a lot. It takes bravery and courage to turn that mirror upon yourself and go, do you know something? I'm going to own that stuff.
That's where I'm at right now. I've been at, but I'm really at it now. That's right.
Yeah. I don't like this stuff about me, but it's okay. I'm aware of it, and I'm doing it. You know, and it's like, yeah, it takes courage. It takes courage. It really does. It really does. So, hang on.
Emma, I just know that I need more work with you. Like I feel like there's just so much. I mean, I'm not saying that in a funny way. Like really. Because I've done it on my own to the best I can, but I've hit a plateau. It's like I need somebody to.
Everybody needs somebody at some time.
To help me get.
Same as me.
Yeah,
I've done
love you. I appreciate you, and I love your directness. I love your yes. So I appreciate you in a big way.
I still need help, and I still need a mentor every so often. I haven't arrived anywhere, you know what I mean? I'm still doing the work, you know what I mean? My mentor's been doing this 50 years, and I'm still, I look to her, you know what I mean? She's my absolute fountain of information.
Well, that's why I try to tell people, like, you never arrive. You get to different plateaus. Like, I realize, like, I've done a great deal of work and a lot of changing, but now it's like, okay, the universe is saying now that it's time for healing. Like you've done the work to prepare, to set yourself up over the years to be ready to hear the truth. Be ready to hear the truth about yourself without going into panic or attacking myself, you know, for being two-faced or being a liar or being dishonest or manipulating or any of those things. Like, I realized as much as I thought I was I'm so whatever, like, I've never put myself up like on a, okay, don't misunderstand what I'm saying, please, people.
Okay.
What I'm saying is I just realized that everything I judged other people about, I too was doing, and had a freaking veil over my eyes, like completely in denial of my own character defects and shortcomings. Not
But
like
but now
on
you've
surface
seen
level,
it.
I could see the surface level stuff, but I wasn't seeing the conniving or the I don't know. I don't want to use the word lying, but deception, if you want to say lying, the manipulation or the emotional, you know, I'd get triggered, and so I would do things to emotionally manipulate to try to get what I need.
That exactly. Now, what have you just said there? That is your inner girl still trying to get her needs met.
How do we get there, though? How do we do that for ourselves, Emma? How do we meet?
See, now this is where the work comes in. This is where the meditation comes in. This is where the self-inquiry comes in. This is where different tools that I've used for shadow work, things called feeling states, which are very, very similar to affirmations, but they're more designed to bring out and bring up feelings that have been stored and suppressed. So whereas affirmations, oh, they make you feel nice and lovely and all that kind of thing, the feeling states are slightly different. They're there to bring out emotions and feelings. You know, that's why they're called feeling states. And there are all these things and all these tools to dive into, so we can then go in, recognize them, bring them out, release, acknowledge, you know, and heal. But like I say, there are steps to these things. And I think as you've there's also where we can repurpose the ego. So which is what this is the experience that you've just really described, when you realize that everything that you see in other people that aggravate you, or that you judge, or you find a little bit, you know, narky, and, you know, you're pointing the finger, you know, and it's like that everything that we see in other people, the only reason we see it is because we have it in ourselves. And this can be, like I say, we at first we sort of break down and it's a big slap across the face and all that kind of thing. But when we really realize what's happened, it's like, oh my God, I can really see where I need to grow. I can really see how I can turn this around. I can really see how I can empower myself. And then we repurpose the ego from going, oh, fuck her, fuck him, do that, and you can shove it up your ass, excuse my language there, to hang on a minute. What are you trying to tell me? You're saying this, your ego, you're trying to protect me. I can hear this, but I don't need that anymore, because we can move, I can go this way forward. And so really listening to the ego, hearing what it's trying to do, understand it, and then move through it in a better, more conscious way. Do you see what I mean? So from rather than going, oh, up yours, oh, hang on a minute, where do I need to grow? What is this person showing me? What is the lesson I'm seeing right now? And really empower yourself with it. You know what I mean? So yes. At first, like I say, we can feel like a bit of a victim, a bit silly, a bit foolish, and, you know, slap across the face. But then it's like, oh my God, that's actually a really cool thing. It's like, and there's a bigger whole exercise around that as well. You know what I mean? So we can.
Well, I need to start doing these exercises, because I need to get on top of. They're in your book. They're in your book. That's gonna. Well, once I get through this, I'm telling you, I'm gonna. And not that I want to put it off. I mean, I'm going to start picking it up, but I want to get I'm hoping to get my certificate on what I'm going to school for by my birthday, which is first week. Yeah.
All in good.
No, I need to start working the book so I can have more dialogue or know what the heck I'm talking about with you. I mean, I kind of am familiar with this information, but again, not to the, you're well learned in it. I am not. I have some familiarity. I'm being honest. Like, I've heard of inner child, you know, shadow, all this stuff that I've dibbled and dabbled in. But I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, we're not dibbling and dabbling anymore. It's time to really dive deep. Do you mind mentioning, Emma, because I know that Well, do you need to take a break for a minute? I'm gonna.
I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm good.
Okay, can I just step away for a minute? I'm gonna go run to the bathroom real quick and come right back.
Okay.
But I wanted to mention to you, and maybe I'll just leave this with you for a minute, and then I'll come right back. But you mentioned about the molestation thing with parents and children. Does that have anything to do with inner child? I mean, I know people that can be triggering for some people, but
no, I realise that. But look, it's I'm okay with talking about this because this has been a whole big part of my healing. But when a child is abused, incestually abused by family members.
Okay, I'm gonna just give me 1 minute. I'm coming right back. I'm drinking coffee. Yeah, so I'm gonna run, come right back, and then if we can just, because I'd like to do a whole show on that alone, but maybe that'll be our next show. But we'll just share a little bit about it. Just to let people know what's coming, because they may be interested. I'll be right back.
Okay. I'll stay here and look pretty and just drink water.
I appreciate your patience. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. I stepped away for a moment, and
I was just looking gorgeous and drinking water.
You're always so beautiful. Absolutely. Okay, so we were gonna go ahead. Can you finish what you were talking about with because I think people would be intrigued to know more about that.
Okay. Well, like I say, it's to be abused like that as a child, as an infant, brings about a whole new set of trauma, really, because that's where you get not just repressed memories, but memories that you black out, that you block out, and big chunks of lives can go missing through this. And I do have some notes on this. So, but yeah, sexual abuse like that, especially from a family member, or even, it doesn't really matter, an older person, distorts us in such a way that we go around in deep shame, deep guilt, feeling that it was our fault. Most of it was like, oh, you must keep it secret and all this kind of thing. For me personally, it was found out because I spoke about who it was and what was happening. And then for me, it was covered up. I was made out to be a liar. It was covered up. It was never spoke of again. It was hidden. And believe you me, I have had to uncover this. I've had repressed memories come up about this, about the fact that it was hidden, the fact that I was made to feel like I was a liar and shamed about it, and made, you know, and like I say, it was just all hush hush. And when this finally came about for me, I realized just how distorted my own feelings about myself were, not just about my sexuality, you know what I mean, but about my whole person. How do I relate to men? How do I relate to women? You know what I mean? It's probably why I ended up being bisexual at the end of the day. You know what I mean? I'm marrying a beautiful man now, and yes, I have children, but there was a whole heap of my teenage years and 20s where I was just so confused about who I was, what I'm supposed to do, and how you do it. You know, it just completely blown out the water. And so But like I say, there's the actual physical incest, and then there's the covert incest as well, where you've got the parents and they've got children of the opposite sex. But covert incest isn't physical. Nothing actually is physically done to the children, but it's a bit more than codependency. You know what I mean? It's where, say, for instance, a mother isn't getting the loving relationship she wants of her husband. So she then projects all of that love and expects all of that love back and energetic feelings from her son, or a vice versa, father with daughter, you know, and that's called covert incest. And that, again, can really distort how you see yourself, how you see sexuality, how you relate to the opposite sex in relationships. And all of this kind of thing. I have got a couple of notes here as well. I think
that's more prevalent than people realize. What you just said, and I'm just thinking, not that I'm trying to project it out to, I mean, I remember my father saying to me, Ida, it's your eyes and your ass at the men, right? My father never, ever touched me inappropriately, but he did say things that
we get the idea of how men look at us.
To think that it was my body that was the value and not me as a person.
Exactly.
Yeah. Although I kind of knew he was skewed in what he was saying to me. I don't think he meant anything harmful by it, but he was basically kind of telling me, you know, like, that's the way it is with men. No, it's not, Dad. That's the way you are. You know, he was definitely a handsome man, and he had a lot of lovers. And I just, my idea of men has been, yes, go ahead. I'm sorry. Of course,
that's it. We get our idea of men and relationships from our fathers. And this is probably why we pick so many men just like our father, until we realize what we're doing, which is when I woke up and I went, oh my God. And then all of my ex-boyfriends and even my ex-husband morphed into my father. And it was just like one big picture all in front of me. And it was like, oh my God.
Well, my father never put his hands on me. He never, like, one time he did jack me up because, and rightfully so. I mean, I was 12 years old running away, going to a strip club in DC. Right. But, and I had abusive relationships. Now I know I was using trauma-based mind control programs, my lab. This is how they keep you, you know, doing their whatever. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So but there was something in me that wanted to, I don't know if the word is change, but heal something in men that I was never able to, but I kept going back to them, thinking somehow, not for me, but for them, somehow, I don't know how to explain it. Like,
so that's it. Maybe we felt that we had to make our parents happy, make our fathers happy. And so again, that's how we realize or think that's what relationships with men should be like. So
we abandon ourselves
yes.
I realize, you know, we abandon our own needs, our own desires, our own self by wanting to be pleasing, obedient to our partners, pleasing to our partners, having sex when we really don't feel like it because we want to make sure they're happy. I mean, this is going into a different subject than what we were talking about.
I've been there and I've done that. And that is all about this imprinting and what we learn as children, how we feel about ourselves, how we see about ourselves, how we think relationships are. And it's all done with this primal imprint. So let me just finish off this ego
Please,
thing.
go ahead. Yes.
Okay, so the ego is trying to fix us on multiple levels by keeping us in separation and living our lives outside reality where the truth can be embodied and bliss can be felt and experienced. Our soul is calling us home to that inner 0 point, that balance point where we're present with ourselves, where we're not in the past, we're not in the future, we're just right in the moment and present with ourselves. That's what 0 point is. And we can move through our lives in wholeness, with all of us present and effective and free. There are many wounds that are gathered along the timelines that we have lived. Our wounds of inadequacy, low self-esteem, lack of self-worth, so on, and creates holes in our ability to operate from a place of unity and empowerment. Our egos are madly trying to compensate for all these unhealed leaks and holes in our energy field. And to fix some of these, these are just some points that our ego could have done to try and fix all of these problems, all of these energetic holes, all of these traumas that are going on. So, 1, building a cover self to hide our fears, wounds, and imagined inadequacies, because that's what they are. They're all lies and they're all imagined, because we are capable of just so many wonderful, astounding things, but all the lies cover that up.
Yeah.
Our cover selves mask our true feelings. We become a distorted facade, a cartoon character of a real person. Really, we're just kind of like the cartoon character, because all of the rest is behind. We do this in lots of different ways, using different archetypes. We have all learned to be. We've all met a know-it-all, a clown, the one who's right, the one who takes care of everyone, the one who's beautiful, the one who always wins, the best, the fastest, the most intelligent, the wealthiest, the one that had the best ass, and the list goes on. We've all known somebody with one of those archetypes. And that's their identity. So living as though these lies were programmed to believe about ourselves are true. So all of these things that we've took in from our parents and society and all this kind of thing that we've made mean about ourselves are complete fabrications. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. We've just been, nobody's ever told us that that isn't the way it is. So we've just taken that on as our truth, as our identity, as our, this is who we are. My name is this. I live here. I do job, blah, blah, blah. But that's not us. That's right. Not us.
That's right.
And then, like I say, because we're human, we actually turn that off and look away and just deny any of it's going on. We just deny that we're ever in denial in the first place. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, I'm not in denial about anything. No, I'm good. I live my life and I'm happy. And it's just like they're probably the most unhappiest, most traumatized kid you've ever met in your life. So we internalize all the lies that we are inadequate, incompetent, bad, wrong, stupid, ugly, or useless, or like I say, a lot of the times it was like I was called a spoilt brat, or I was called, this was my big thing, because like people were like suppressing me, and I was the youngest. I always used to get the stick, but then I lashed out to say, right, I've had enough of this, blah blah blah. I was the one that was called the titty baby. I was the one that was called this, and that made me even more angry. You know what I mean? And we internalize all of this. It's like, okay, well, why don't they like me? Why don't they love me? Why do they hate me so much?
I'm getting choked up right now. You just made me think of, yeah.
I'm so hated. So, and we, and we spend the rest of our lives trying to compensate for that. It's like, I want to be loved. I want to be smart. I want to be beautiful. Please like me. And it goes on. It goes on. So basically, okay, so our ego is trying to compensate forever. So real connection, which is what you talked about earlier, can only happen when we are present and not hiding to protect ourselves from further pain. So really, if anything happens in our life, feel it then, express it then, cry and work through it right then in the moment, rather than what we did as kids, because we weren't taught any kind of emotional intelligence and we just stuffed it down because we didn't know how to express. We weren't allowed to express it. We were wrong or stupid if we expressed it, and all of that kind of thing. We couldn't speak out, otherwise we were gonna die. And
well,
again,
I never had a problem speaking out. It's just that I was told that I was, like, you're so sensitive, Ida. You're so, what's wrong with you? Why do you, whatever, like my whole life. Yeah. Even now, it's like, I'm just so over it.
Because we will talk about the things that nobody else talks about or nobody else sees. But they all, excuse me.
Or they just don't want to see as that,
they don't want to see it. They
newfound,
don't want to talk about it.
The elephant in the room kind of thing, where like, nope, we can't talk about that. It's too much. We don't need to talk about that.
But we do. We're the ones in the family.
I definitely do, and I definitely am, and I will, and I'm not going to abandon myself anymore. Because that's
No.
exactly what I've been doing for a long time, is abandoning myself for the comfort of other people. And not saying, you know, I try to be considerate of everybody's feelings, right? And I'm not saying I'm perfect at that, because I can be a bit spicy with my mouth sometimes, like I want to be heard, right? But I'm not so far, you know, I'm not like a narcissist where everything is about Ida. No, I overthink about I'm over considerate, maybe. I don't know if that's even a word, but, or a thing, but meaning like I put other people before me constantly. And
again, that's again primal imprinting, because we are so programmed and conditioned to not put ourselves first, especially as women. We have to be there for the men, making sure that they're all right and the family's all right, and we have to put their dreams first and our dreams last, and you know, everybody has to be first other than us, whether we're a mother, a daughter, a sister, you know what I mean? That is what we're programmed to do.
But you know what, Emma, I'm realizing like this issue with a family member, well, not just with, it's been with friendships, girlfriends, whatever. Like and I don't really understand it. It has nothing to do with them and everything to do with me and my self-worth and value, where okay, so there's an aspect of me that I know for sure loves to gift people things, do kind things for people. I love that. But then there's another aspect of myself that with certain people, when I feel abandoned by them, I don't know if the word rejected, but my instructor mentioned this to me the other day. She said, Ida, you feel not she didn't use the word left out. It was another word. But basically, like, God, I need the word. You feel, okay, neglected. You feel neglected. Like, nobody sees you. Nobody hears you. Nobody, like, what is important to you is not, you know, and I can't do that to other people. People are like, I could never make somebody else's feelings not important to me, if that makes sense. Not
Yes.
like I take them on as my own, but meaning like I'm considerate of other people, and I want to nurture, and I want to love, and I want to gift, and I want to do kind things. But I have overdone it, and I think part of it, and maybe you could help me with this, is because I didn't get that I overdo it for other people, which is toxic.
That's exactly why. Yeah, that's exactly why.
But I didn't realize it was toxic. I looked at myself as being, not that but I'm like, I love that aspect of myself. But if you're overdoing it and you're not open to either receive or it's not being reciprocated, not that every time you do something for somebody that you need to get something back, but if it's clearly unevenly yoked, Ida, something is not right there, and don't wait on the other person to make a change. You need to change whatever it is that why you're doing it needs to be, you know, and that's where I'm at. Having a look at it, realizing it, and changing heal so that I can correct it. Not fix it, correct it.
Yeah.
And I am like right there.
But like I say, again, this is all about what we've been talking about this evening. That is your inner girl that when you were young felt neglected, not heard, shoved away, not spoken to, you know, not acknowledged, all of that. So every time a situation happens like that, that's what the trigger is. It triggers us into feeling like nobody sees me, nobody hears me, nobody loves me, nobody wants me. And it hurts. And it hurts. But like I say, we shove that hurt so far down that it comes out as something else. It comes out, it comes out in all manner of ways. It comes out
in rage in me, and I don't
rage,
like it.
Despair, anger, poor me. It comes out in whichever way.
All those things. I don't want that.
No. Well, that's it. And that. But what the work to do is to go inside and go and find that particular little girl who feels like that and go and get her. And like I say, there are exercises that we can do that we will be going through to do this. And
Emma, I can't wait. I'm so ready. I know I need to get into my workbook that you so kindly gifted me with, and I will. I promise I will, because I want this.
It's one step at a time, you know what I mean? I know both of us have got a lot of stuff going on right now, but one step at a time. And when
you're doing a series on Facebook about...
I'm doing a gratitude practice, yes, on my page right now.
And people need to go to Facebook and friend request you and start check. I mean, I watch a little bit. I've got so many different people that I kind of am really trying to keep my energy to myself right now. Not in an, you know, just really, I'm pulling back a little bit for now, only for now, so that I can really focus on myself. Because otherwise I get scattered trying to...
But this is it. There are lots of things we can do to dive into that. So yes, where you are right now, kind of right on that precipice, it's kind of like you're standing on the precipice. It looks like a 1,000-foot drop down there. But really, when we really just take that step, it is just a step. You know, it's the fear itself that keeps us kind of like,
I'm not in fear. I want to take the step. I'm ready. Okay. I'm not in fear. I'm embracing it. I don't think I've ever feared change. I just didn't know how to really get to the deeper parts of myself.
Right. Okay. Well, in that case, then we are ready to do that. So, okay. Okay. So I'll just go a little bit into what you've just been talking about there, which is turning it around and healing our inner little ones. Like I say, they could be babies in the womb. They could be babies from 0 to a year. They could be children from 2 to 4 years. They could be even somebody from like 10 years ago. But it is a younger version of ourselves that has been wounded and that we've carried around all this time. So that there isn't just one. There isn't just one. So finding within yourself, then showing up with the love that truly heals our inner little ones, acts as a healing elixir to shift out of the ego's addiction to lies and separation. So the more we can repurpose that ego and understand that it is only there, it's just been trying to protect us. It's not there to hurt us. It's not there to belittle us or send us down a bad avenue or anything like that. The ego has only been there to protect us all of our times. So your inner child lives with the lies of the matrix construct programmed you with, no, let me read that again. Your inner child lives with the lies the matrix programmed you with through the wounds of our parents and so-called authority figures. We've talked about that a little bit earlier, everybody in costume and that kind of thing. And we had to obey these as growing up, whether they be parents, teachers, police, doctors, all these kind of things. So as we open up the feeling channels, we finally surface the buried pain which is hidden inside these inner little children, because there's wounds and traumas, there's the inner little ones, there's ancestral, there's entity removal, there's certain, you know, there's all different aspects of this, and then there's like several paths to each one of those, as we know.
Oh yes.
So and this is why we're doing a series. So there is a wonderful way we can contact our inner children, because we actually, like I say, we actually have several of them from all different ages, all different, you know, environments. So, for example, if your father suddenly left home and you were left with a working mother who abandoned you in daycare or to the television and all that kind of thing, that was me. My parents split up, you know, my siblings went with my father, I was with my mother, and I was, 8, and then she was working night shifts down the pub and wasn't coming home until midnight, so I was looking after myself from that age.
My mother was in the restaurant business too, and she didn't come home till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Emma, I remember being 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, sitting underneath the street light on the corner at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, waiting for my mother to pull up in a cab so I could see her just for a couple minutes. Because by the time I came home from school, she was getting in the cab to go off to work again. Yeah. And her days off, she didn't want to be bothered. She had one day off on Wednesday. Occasionally she was home on Sunday, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong. but she always had the paper in her, you know, and I would, Mom, and I'd say, Mom, does this outfit look good on me? And she'd never move the paper away. Oh yeah, it looks great, Ida. That was in my teenage years. Like she had 12 kids. I was the youngest. I know my mother loved me for sure, but she definitely did not have it in her by the time I was, I kind of was left on my own.
I was completely on my own. That's it. The TV raised me. And again, that brings a whole new heap of like trauma and God knows what, because I just thought, okay, that's what you did. I looked after myself. You know, I had to be grown up. I had to, you know, things had changed. But I only realized, you know, many years later on.
Well, it's survival is what it is. It's not grown up, it's survival.
Exactly how traumatizing these things were. And so but like I say, but there are all ways to heal them. So right, okay, so blah 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 blah. So you've got lots of abandonment wounds there, rejection wounds. So we need to feel into our subconscious and unconscious and move past the ego's resistance, you know, for like, oh, you don't want to do that, or don't do this, or, you know, all the lies that the ego tells us. We need to move past that and into the reasons why the ego is telling the lies in the first place. You know what I mean? You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. Or you can't do this and you can't say that, because we need to move past those, repurpose the ego past those and into our inner child. So, okay, so our inner children are literally living inside of us, hiding and generating the repeated feelings of shame, loss, abandonment, rejection, insecurity, inadequacy. The ego is forever trying to counter these sinkholes in our souls. And these primal wounds need to be felt, forgiven, given compassion and love, for our system to realign and for us to feel safe enough to come back into our bodies, you know, to actually realign and be more embodied. So, okay. Right, okay.
I hope everybody that's going to be watching this video once it's uploaded and published on YouTube, that you find this information valuable and that you continue to go, you know, join us in this.
It's my life.
Yes, this time with Emma to go over, at least to, you know, plant the seed in you to get some kind of direction. And if you decide, you know, to reach out to her, to work with her, or do it,
even,
you know,
even if anything that we've talked about resonates, like I say, it might hit a note and it's like, oh, I've done that, or oh, I've experienced that, or you know, my dad did that, or my mom did that. If anything resonates, do your own research. If anything resonates, it means you're waking up. It means you are becoming more aware. It means you're becoming more conscious. It means that your soul is calling out to you to heal.
Yes, that's what we're talking about. And that's what this show is all about, is conscious heart solutions. We're going to get to the solutions, and we're going to reach our best life ever. And it happens in the here and now. And this is our best life, right? Yeah. Doing the inner work, doing the healing, doing the things that bring, to allow our light to shine more, so that we can remove all the heaviness and lighten our hearts up and come together and without judgment. And you know, that's the biggest thing, is that we're so, I can speak for myself, critical and judgmental on myself, as much as I would say, oh no, I'm not. When I really get honest, that is what you're doing, Ida. You're criticizing yourself. I catch myself. I don't do it nowhere near the, you know, like what I used to, but I you know, I would just project out on other people and all kinds of stuff that I didn't. And the thing, it wasn't denial, was that I just wasn't aware of the depth of my own bullshit. Quite literally.
That's it. But the thing is, it's like the main thing that we all have to realize is to have that compassion for ourselves, really, and really unconditional love for ourselves, because there's a reason that we feel like this way in the first place. There's a reason why we think these things about ourselves. And it's justified. We don't have to feel guilty or defend anything that we feel and think about ourselves, because we were made to think and feel that way about ourselves. That was what we were brought up in. And like I say, we don't have to beat ourselves up again, about that, because like I say, we're justified to feel that way. So we should never feel guilty about feeling angry because somebody pissed us off, or so we felt abandoned, because that's the way we feel. And when we actually truly acknowledge that and be okay with that, it's okay that I felt like that. It's okay that I felt so angry all this time because my father was an asshole. You know what I mean? It's okay for that I felt angry all this time because my mum wasn't there for me. You know what I mean? But now I get a chance to heal that. You know what I mean? And be okay with, yeah, Mum, you pissed me off. You made me angry. You left me there. You left me by my own. I was a kid, you know? And so, and like I say, nobody should ever feel guilty about feeling like that. But once we acknowledge it and know that it's okay, that's where the healing comes in.
Well,
That's where
and also get to the point where we're able to forgive and
yes.
release making our parents responsible
it's
for.
Also, it's not just about forgiving them, because it's not about condoning what they did, but it's about forgiving the circumstances. It's also about forgiving ourselves for feeling that way all this time, you know, because it's like, okay, they made us feel angry and we don't have to feel guilty about that, but we can forgive ourselves for being angry all that time. Because
can I be honest with you, Emma?
Yeah.
When my mother passed away, and don't get me wrong. So, okay, I had went to Arizona to see my mother. She was having some health issues, and there was something in me that, you know, it was time for me to go and make amends to my mother. And I remember saying to my mother in Arizona, my sister's house, I said, Mom, do you know that your children love you? And she said, yes, Ida, but some of my kids, you know, I don't know why they did the things they did. And I know what she was referring to, because I was molested as a child. My mother was molested by her uncle, and I don't know who else, but I know for sure one of her uncles did. So she was raised, you know, my mother was born in the 40s, I think the 40s, something like that, a long time ago. And she's passed now. Both my parents are passed. But the point is her growing up, you didn't talk about that stuff. It was, yeah, you didn't talk about any, you know. I remember telling her I was considering going on Maury Povich, and she was like, I'm not getting on national TV to air my dirty laundry. Like, just, you know, she was old-fashioned in that way. Yeah. But anyways, long story short, I went to Arizona, and I knew that it was time for me to forgive my mother. And I did. I said, Mom, you know, I choose to love you instead of hate you. And she heard me. And I said, do you know that your children love you? And she said what she said. But I will tell you this. I don't know what happened just in that little conversation. It was a moment in time, for sure. I woke up the next day and felt like a whole world was lifted off my shoulders. I looked forward to making my mother breakfast and sitting with her and having coffee and admiring her beauty and the way she held her hand and wore her jewelry and her whole everything. That prior to that, my mother would look a certain way and it drove me. If she moved the coffee cup a little bit to the side, I was like, everything bothered me about my mother. And I mean, she couldn't speak correctly. If she pronounced a word a certain way, like everything bothered me. And that day, something beautiful, miraculous took place that I was able to say, I choose to love you instead of hate you, because I put it all on my mother, that because I was molested and I wasn't protected and I was, you know, all the things that happened because she was not in the home, because she was working to take care of her children. I never considered that she fought to get all her kids back from foster care prior to having me and my two other siblings. So my mother had 9 children, met my father, and had 3 more. So, but I just never, as a child, you don't think like that. You think your mother's your mom and she's supposed to do this, this, and this, and this. And when you're not protected as a child and you're being molested or raped or abused, and you're not protected, and it's kind of like, yeah, that definitely teaches you to, you know, not have self-value and self-worth. I mean,
trust issues. Well, yeah,
huge trust issues.
Out the door.
You just, you know, by the time I was 12, I was like, all right, I'm leaving home. I dated somebody that was my first handler who was abusive as I don't know what. You know, and I realized, you know, after breaking the programming, I know I did, and this guy kept calling me and wanting to be in my energy field, who was supposed to be my first love. He was my first handler. Yeah. And I knew that they were trying to use him. When I say they, I mean these people that use in the MyLab programs and stuff to trigger me to use certain words or codes. And I just knew it. And I was like, it's not happening. Guys aren't getting to me like that anymore. And I had to like stand up for myself. Maybe not in the way that I probably could have, but because I was curious and I kept putting myself in compromising situations because I wanted to know who the hell these people were. But anyways, that's a whole nother show. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, you grow up thinking you're taught to use your body for exchange, whether it's even, okay, this is what women think if they're married to their husband and they are, oh, I want that new Louis Vuitton, and they give some sex to their husband that night because they know they want that purse, and they think that, oh, yeah, I'll just give them a little bit and I'll get that new Louis tomorrow. Never thinking, okay, you're compromising your, you know, there's always
that's the oldest profession in history.
Well, that's right. And it's a form of prostitution. And if we know what the word prostitution means, to sell ourselves, we have been taught that we have to behave in these ways, that we can't just ask for what we want, that we have to exchange something to get what we want. Quite literally, whether it's physical, sex, money, go to work, like we are constantly having to barter, so to speak, to get what we want. There is a healthy way to do that for sure. People do exchange. People do like what, you know, where they barter time and energy to be able to do shows like this and come to an, okay, I get it. But I'm talking about in unhealthy ways, I guess, who, you know, it depends on your level or idea of what's healthy and what's not healthy. But you get what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it still goes on. It still goes on.
Well, it definitely goes on.
And it's all, like I say, and it all stems from your primal imprint and how, especially for girls, how we see our fathers, how the relationship goes with our fathers. And like I say, whoring ourselves out, like I said earlier, whoring ourselves out for that love, that approval, that, you know, that praise. And
I am putting myself in check. Now that I am aware, oh, yes.
But yes, we as especially as girls, we are taught so early that we are shown and taught so early in our lives, like 2, 3, 4 years old, that, you know, it's like when you give the looks like that and all that, and we use our bodies, and it's sexual.
Definitely. Oh, yes.
You know,
for sure. Well, even, I mean, I'll be honest, like I see my nieces, they're in there, you know, they're grown, but even little girl, like you see, oh, she's so cute or whatever. Like you know, we don't teach proper asking for what we want. We teach how to manipulate rather than properly asking for something. And also being able to be told no without having a fit. You know, even as adults, I don't like.
I'm laughing because my youngest daughter's just like that. She still doesn't like the word no.
Yeah.
I never liked it when I was a girl. You know what I mean? But
I just didn't listen to it. I was getting what I wanted, and if you didn't give it to me, I would get it somewhere else. Like that was me. I was even in my exchanging of whatever with girlfriend, you know, with friends, female friends, the friendships I had, or really, like, I'll ask for what I want. If you don't give it to me, no problem. You can tell me no, but I will get what I want. I mean, yeah. But that was just, you know, me and getting what I wanted. Yeah. But I love these shows with you, Emma. I love this information. I think it's important that people, you know, this doesn't have to be a grueling thing. Yeah, it could be, I'll tell you, I've been crying on and off, and you know that. I mean, I share things with you I don't talk to everybody about. And these are personal things to me. I'm working, you know, my own stuff out. And again, as much work as we do, we never arrive. There's always more you know, more of the veil being removed from our eyes. And but you do get to a point where it's like it's not a surrender, like, well,
it's more exciting.
It can get to that where you surrender. You're like, okay, I'm definitely either if I want real change, I have to surrender and be willing to do a deeper dive.
It does get to a point where it stops being clunky and awkward, and it just really turns into being exciting. And then you can see these and feel these things coming up, and it's like you actually look forward to processing and moving through these things, because it's like, oh,
that's where I'm at. That is where I'm at. You're right. Definitely. I'm so looking forward to this. I know it's, you know, it's not going to be an overnight success, but my heart's in the right place.
I was going to say, it's a day-by-day thing. It is.
Yeah.
Let me just talk about one last thing before, because I think we are really pretty much near enough on time. So
yes.
But I just want to talk about what condition your inner baby might be in. Now, because like I say, we can heal everything with love. We can heal everything with diving in and really being accepting and loving of ourselves and surrendering to the experience that needs to be expressed, because that's what it is. These are just experiences that we've oppressed and suppressed, and they need to be expressed, you know, to be brought out, healed, and then they're released. So, but just before we finish off, so just I don't want to end on a dark note, but like I say, we can all be healed. So, but imagine that a baby has been abandoned, emotionally rejected, and left alone for years. What abuse has your inner baby suffered? As the contents of our subconscious and unconscious have been cleverly engineered to be hidden, we need to find our inner little ones and first and foremost let them know they are no longer alone. We will be there to love them, accept them, be present for, and embrace them from now on. It is very important to show up for our inner little ones daily. We will, there are meditations, there are plenty of support groups and things out there. If you don't want to reach out to me and you do resonate with this, there are plenty of ways you can reach out and find groups to help you move through these things. But if you show up with patience and consistency, you will really start to get in touch with your inner children and really start to heal those. So
can I ask you this, Emma, since you've been doing the work that you're doing, like your own work, and now at a place where you're able to teach and mentor other people, for sure. I mean, I consider you a mentor and a friend, and I appreciate you. Do you feel that you have done enough of the integration? Like, is there, because I hear you, and I mean, I get it, where we have that part of us that's the infant, then the little girl, then maybe the teenager, and then the young adult, into our, you know, different aspects of ourselves that need to be fully integrated. Does that happen? I mean, do we get to that place where we can fully integrate?
Yes. Where we, like I say, when we bring back, when we heal those broken parts of us and we do integrate that, the experience afterwards is when you can really feel when something's been expressed, because it literally explodes from the heart. It feels, for me, it's a bit more like vomiting up emotion. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, that emotion's coming out. You know, because when we're suppressing it, we're kind of swallowing it down, and we're not going to cry, and you know, and we just shove it down. when we surrender, when we give into that experience and we allow it to come out, literally surrendering means not suppressing it and just literally allowing it to come out.
I have a feeling I'm going to be walking away from people for a while just to go to a room to be able to cry and come back.
Yes, exactly.
Because I don't want to suppress it anymore.
That's it. And sometimes we can get to something that's so deep that it might need a bit of crying to release the pressure before getting to the eventual release, because some things are a bit too deep. So if something isn't released straight away, it's not a problem. Sometimes a little bit of pressure needs to be released before the final sort of like expression, if you like. But once that's done, believe you me, the feeling that's left behind it is one really of openness, expansion. It feels like your lungs are kind of, you know, exploded to be this big, and all of a sudden you've got you can breathe again because this weight's literally gone off your chest, and it's like, and you're left with this great, huge expansiveness, and it's so blissful. It is so blissful. I have been known to ride my bliss train for a good 4 or 5 days, even just literally from one release, and all of a sudden I'm just like literally, just blissed out for a week, going, oh my God, that was awesome, that was amazing, and it was just like purely because I've just cried my eyes out and released it, and it's like, and it's just like, it's dare I say it, for the, you know, just for the ladies in the audience, it's like having a really good orgasm, and it just leaves you kind of like, oh, your body's just so relaxed, and you just, and and it's wonderful. You know, what I'm ready
for that. I definitely am ready for that.
So when you know, when it's truly been expressed and released, you can feel it, because you can feel it go, and you're left with such a wonderful space, a space of bliss and breath, and it's wonderful. So you always know when you've moved through it. I
think we can all use that.
And this is how it can be a little bit addictive as well, believe it or not, because you're like, oh my God, I'm feeling something coming up, I'm coming for a release, oh my God, I'm going to go through something good, you know, it's going to be good, but you have to go through the hurty bit first, you know, but it's like, oh, I know what's coming. And so that's what, once you really get into it, and once you really know what happens on the other side, it's so much easier to take on board.
Well,
so
I imagine they lessen. You don't, it's not like, you know. No.
You'd think. No, you'd think. I mean, certain pockets do lessen, certain aspects, certain situations, they do lessen. But depending on what you're working on or what's coming up, sometimes it can be a little release, sometimes it can be a laugh and a cry at the same time. You know what I mean? It's like it can be anything.
I've experienced that before, a laugh and a cry. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
And then you can have the real kind of like heart-wrenching ones where you're kind of doubled over because you can't get the crying out enough, and it's just, you know, and you get your pillow on your face and you're screaming into that bugger, you know. And but sometimes you do that because it just feels good. It actually feels good to get it out, to actually.
Well, there's a relief, definitely a relief and a freedom, like a. Yes. I don't even know if the word I want to use is, it's a surrendering to your heart. I don't know how to. Yes,
that's exactly it. That's exactly it, because that's what we're communicating.
And your innocence. Yeah. We're going to leave it on that, because that's a beautiful ending, you know, for today's episode, Inner Child Work. Good job, Miss Emma.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I'm just, well, I love this. I'm with you. I appreciate you. Thank you. I hope everybody that's listened is getting just as much value, and
I hope so. If anybody has any questions, any doubts, anything, or think that we're talking a load of rubbish, comment. Please say something. You know, if you
leave comments, any questions that you might have for Emma, leave them in the comments. I'll write them down and I'll ask her on the next show.
We are here to help. We are here to empower.
That's right. And we're here to do it together. Join us. Nobody, you know, this is a space I want everybody to feel empowered, knowing that you are in a safe place, that no question is too odd or too outrageous. And we're going to get through some healing and to open our hearts up consciously and get to some solutions that are workable for all of us, right?
Okay.
That we can do every day.
Just as a thought as well, maybe we can do one of these podcasts that I will actually bring on a meditation and one of these tools for clearing and healing. So hopefully if we can fit one of those in one show somewhere, just to give somebody a bit of a taste of what it can feel like, just to have their field cleared or anything, just something like that.
We can do that next show if you want to. I mean, I definitely don't think that one episode of inner child work is enough. Like, I think, yeah. So, well, because I was thinking about next week's topic, but I'm thinking maybe we'll do part 2 of inner child work.
Because like I said, there's the 2 aspects. There's like this healing the wounds from childhood, but like I say, understanding the whole imprint. And then, you know, there's all the different aspects of, like I say, we've only touched on different subjects about child abuse or abandonment or neglect and they're all different channels to go down. So it is a really, really deep subject. So yeah. Okay,
so we'll do a part 2 of the inner child work, and we'll just explore a bit more of the information.
I shall bring the inner little one meditation. So hopefully we can
and
help somebody get in touch with
definitely we'll do it. Yeah, if you want to do a meditation, I'm sure I will definitely enjoy that, and I'm sure that the people that will be listening, they can do it in their own time when they want to just sit and do it, because of course it will be uploaded to YouTube, and they'll have a opportunity to use it anytime they want to. But that would be lovely, and that would be a lovely gift to everyone. So definitely we'll do that the next time. So just so everybody knows, next week's show will be part 2 of inner child work. And then once we, all agree, or Em and I feel like there's enough information shared, we can move to a different topic. But for now, we'll just stick with inner child work, because that truly is the basis of
everything.
Yes. So you can't just run through it. You have to do it in parts. But
absolutely,
nobody's going anywhere. We're here for the long haul and getting these segments out to you. I'm excited. So have a super fabulous night. I know you're in England. Emma's in England, so our time is a little different. So I'm not going to keep you any longer. We've been going for a couple hours. So I think a lot was shared, and I think people are going to enjoy it. We'll see. Leave comments, please. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't already, share this information on your page. If you have a Facebook page, or whatever platforms you want to share it on, just and invite other people to come in and listen, because this is some the meat and potatoes of shadow work is inner child work. So we'll do it together. Anyways, thank you. So much love and gratitude. Thank you, Emma. All right.
I love you.
Everybody, I love you too. Have a great night. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye.